Well, hi everyone. Wow, that's really loud. So yeah, as Annie was introducing myself, so I was a talent agent for about 10, 12 years. Really got involved in sending a lot of talent to auditions and then kind of crossed into the whole casting director world as well. So got to see the back end of it where casting directors work with the talent agents, which kind of gave me a whole different perspective from a talent agent's point of view as well. A little bit after that, I went over to Carr, where I now work at. I'm their brand director for the Australian tours, and also go out for the competitions during the US regional season as well. So for this workshop in particular, I want to go over just audition tips, different things for you to help get your dancers started in the industry. And of course, at the end, any questions that you guys might have. So as a show of hands, how many of you guys actively are taking your dancers right now to auditions? Nobody? Is anyone represented by a talent agent? MTA, also you? For modeling. Awesome, okay. Do we have more dancers on this room, actors, more models? What's the feel in here? Majority dancers, of course, yes. Any actors? All dancing? Actors over here? Musical theater, cool. Any models? Right here, perfect. All right, so here's a list of different professions that your dancer can kind of go into. So we have the headliner tours, which is gonna be heavy with all your dancers. You have your world tours, which are majority all the celebrity music tours. You have your theatrical, which is all Broadway, or it's gonna be across the US tours or international tours. You have all your professional sports. So you have all your cheerleaders / more of the dancey side of things. You have your fitness models, your fitness dancers as well. You have your character dancers, which is Disney, Universal, all the theme parks. You have the entire cruise line industry. And then you have all of the aerial arts, which is trapeze, silks, all those in Las Vegas especially. So starting out, I think the most important thing for you to do is really identify what your dancer's strength is. Once you kind of identify what that is, use it as your leading tool for them to get into this industry. Back in the day, it was easy to have a dancer, a model, or just a singer, or just an actor. But these days, your dancer has to do a little bit of all of it. But let them lead with what is their strength. So if dancing's their strength, definitely keep them there, and that's what you want to predominantly go to auditions for. But at the same time, you do want them talking on camera. You want them talking on a mic, just so they get comfortable. A lot of times these days, dancers are going into commercial work. So commercial work is going to be, Colgate. It's going to be for Walmart. It's going to be for Walgreens. And they still have to be able to at least say 1 or 2 lines on camera. And plus, that's what pays more money. The minute you speak on camera, your pay goes up 4 times. So you want to get them comfortable talking. They might have a random line here or there whenever they get booked for a job. All right, so things you can do at home to get your dancer or your little actor model ready for auditions. To me, the #1 key to an audition is having confidence. So whether they know their lines, whether they just found out about this audition, have no idea what they're there for, as long as they're walking in with that confidence, that's what's gonna nail the audition for them. The worst thing that you can do is not have your dancer prepared or your actor prepared walking into an audition where they don't feel comfortable. So as comfortable as they can feel, that's what they're gonna do in that audition. Little things that you don't really stop to think about. That the casting director has been literally sitting inside that room for probably 6, 7, 8 hours, probably saw a handful of talent that they really feel are good for this project. So if your dancer's walking in there insecure, not so comfortable, they're immediately gonna just write that dancer off, move on to the next, because it's hour 8 for them already. So you just wanna make sure they walk in there confident, just with a smile. Let them just have their positive energy definitely translate over to the casting directors. And a lot of times, parents make this mistake where they either want to dress their kid for the character, or they're trying to get their kid to stay in character the entire time for whatever they're auditioning with. And that's not so much a good thing. Example with that being is, let's say your kid's going into audition for a bullying role. So if they walk in character as a bully, all their interaction with that casting director is going to be taken completely wrong. So it might turn off the casting director and not want to work with them, because they're also hiring someone that they have to work with. It's going to be their coworker. They're going to work with them for months on set. So they want to make sure they have a positive attitude, So just make sure they go in there with that positive, warm attitude, definitely introduce themselves, and then flip into character as they start auditioning for the piece so they can get a sense of their personality. So just parents, remember that. Have your child be you or be them until they walk into that room with the casting director. All right, let's see. So let's move into all the tools that are needed. Most important is gonna be the headshot. Now, I know a lot of people just wanna take this picture at home, print it out at Walgreens, call it a day in 8x10, but you definitely don't wanna do that. So take the headshot for your dancer as being their business card. That's the first form of contact that any casting director, any audition they're gonna have with your dancers based off of a picture. So you wanna make sure it's something presentable, it's something professional, it really displays who your child is. So now going into the headshot, you wanna make sure that it's an 8x10, standard size. We don't want the postcard size, we don't want any bigger, we don't want any smaller. 8x10 is very standard for all auditions. And then you wanna make sure it's a legit headshot, no matter what their strength is. So even if they're a dancer, even if they're a model, whatever it is, you wanna make sure you have a legit headshot. And the legit headshot's gonna be mid-chest, very up, completely framed. So it's literally just your head, okay? A lot of times with that too, we have a lot of people that want to have a dance photo or a cool, like, urban, edgy photo, and that doesn't work. This really has to be the template, the canvas for the casting director to see that photo and then envision your dancer or your actor in their role. Does that make sense? And a lot of time too is people tend to doll up their kids. If they're under the age of 10, tons of makeup, eyeliner, lipstick, everything. You don't want any of that. You want your kid to be a kid. In this industry, you want to be as young as you can be for as long as possible. That's what's most important. And a lot of time, the kids want to grow up. They want to be teenagers. They want to play the 18-year-old roles. But the truth is, you want to be as young as you can be for as long as possible. On the Disney Channel, the majority of all those actors you see on those TV shows are all in their 20s to mid-20s. They might look like they're 14, 15, but they actually are 21 and up. And that makes it a lot easier on the company itself when they're hiring an overage, not a minor, for these projects. So just keep that in mind. Keep your kids young. No makeup, no crazy hair. You just want to keep them fresh and completely current. All right, and then for those of you that do have your dancers, you do have your models, that's where you can have the supplemental pictures on back. So it's kind of similar to what a comp card was. Are you guys familiar with a comp card? Yep, nowadays they're called a Z card, whatever reason they changed the name. But those comp cards it's basically like an 8x10, but with a collage of photos on it. One larger photo with maybe 4 smaller or 3 smaller, just showing different looks of your dancer. That's something that you can do with your actors that also dance, that also model. Show them different talents that they have within that one 8x10. You could do that. For dancers, you do want to capture a photo for them with the headshot as well. But for those dancers, when you're taking dance shots, you want them to be creative. You want it to show the lines on their bodies, the body shape that they have. But again, you don't want to wear hats. You don't want to have any kind of bandanas on where you cover their face. You want to really be able to clearly see who they are. Moving on from the headshot, the next thing is going to be the resume. Resume is extremely, extremely important. But here's where you get caught. What do you put on the resume, especially when your dancer or your actor hasn't done anything yet? It's completely okay to put elementary, middle school plays, high school plays, awards that they've won, competitions that they've gone to. What we want to see as casting directors and talent agents is the experience your dancer has, or if they can learn, or if they did train and then get some kind of award from it. We know they're kids. We know they don't have experience. We know they haven't done 25, 35 different shoots. So for us, just seeing how they trained, who they trained, that they have a commitment to this is more than enough for us. And that kind of goes back to the headshots as well. For kids under the age of 8, I'll say, you don't really need headshots. A digital photo taken with your cell phone will be more than enough because they're gonna constantly change every 6 months. So you always wanna send a digital photo with a headshot, no matter what, so there's no question as to, is your kid missing a tooth? Did your kid's hair grow a little longer? Did they grow another foot? You always wanna completely show them exactly what your kid is looking like today. resume, back on that one. So as your dancer starts to gain experience, book jobs, then start eliminating things from the top. You want the top to be your most impressive credit. And then from there, start eliminating. So it's okay to have everything free, extra work, high school plays that they did, and then slowly start eliminating those and mix that top section with professional and high school. Eventually, all the high school will be gone, and it'll all be professional work that they've done. All right. Moving on. Oh, one more thing with your resume, too, is you want to be honest with it. A lot of time, people or parents will book their kids as extras, and then they'll write it in as a named role that they decided to give them a name. You want to make sure you put in exactly what they did on that project. You never know who worked on what, who in that room was also affiliated with that project, and the industry is actually a lot smaller than you think, and they'll know. And that's a complete turnoff. You're out of that project, out of any projects in the future. So always be honest. It's okay not to have experience. It's okay not to have booked 1,000 jobs. What matters is that day you coming into that audition and how they nail it. Moving on, we already did comp cards. Social media. So this one's a very interesting one. Social media is very important for, I would say, adults. If your child is still under the age of 18, there really is no reason for your dancer to be getting direct messages to want to be on TV or for auditions. For minors, any kind of professional jobs and should go through professional settings. So if they're going to be casting for a dance video for minors, that needs to go through a casting director. So if someone's direct messaging you on Instagram for a child, I probably wouldn't even pay that attention, immediately block. Of course, social media is an amazing resource, and it's something that personally I feel the parent should be managing until your kid is an adult. It is still the World Wide Web. You can't control who's on it, who's looking at anything. But again, it is a great resource, and it's a great resource for you to network and find jobs or find auditions. But is it necessarily something that your dancer needs as a child right now to be famous or to make it? Not exactly. Once they get older and they are adults, that's when everything changes. There's a whole world of Instagram modeling, a whole world of Instagram videos that are happening that they can make money and that you get direct messages for. But again, that's very different as an adult, not minors. So my experience, the majority of projects going out for kids, we've always been encouraged as casting directors and talent agents not to put that out on social media. It always goes to those professional avenues. All right. And then lastly, going into representation. So this world gets a little weird. Do we know what SAG-AFTRA is? At all? So that's the actors union, basically. And it's made to protect both the actors, the talent, basically, and the casting directors, talent agencies. And just to make sure that everyone's running in correct policy, following procedure, of course. So agencies have two choices. They can either be a non-union agency, or they can be a union agency, which would be SAG-AFTRA. When they're SAG-AFTRA, the union regulates what the percentages are that can be taken out of their checks. So it's 10%, a 20%, or 25%. It's locked in, it's by contract, it never changes. You know what to expect going in and out of all these jobs. That's what makes SAG-AFTRA so important. The talent agent or the casting director can't try to steal or take any additional money from you that's not rightfully owed, basically. When you have a non-union agency, all their projects are going to be non-union. So it means no one's regulating anything that they do. So at that point, that talent agency can say you owe them 35, 40% for this job. Every year moving forward, if they choose to renew it and use it again, you owe me another 20%. They basically can make any rules that they want to make, and that's not exactly the best thing to do. So you definitely want to look towards all the SAG-AFTRA agencies, starting there, before moving on to something non-union, where you'll eventually find people in the industry that you trust, or it's a non-union manager that you're referred to, which is completely fine. But starting out, I'd recommend you stay with the SAG-AFTRA agencies, you just know for a fact that you can't get burned in any way. And it's safe for you, it's safe for your dancer, everything goes completely through the union. These people are legit. They aren't sending you or your dancer to anything weird in any way. Cool? So that's basically a little intro into auditions, kind of what to expect in this world of the agents, the casting directors. I'm pretty sure we have a lot of questions, so that's what I would rather kind of do. It's always better. So any questions, just lay them out there. I'll answer them for you.
Must have social media and you will get jobs there. So I'm a little bit curious to hear sort of the difference, and I think maybe the age focus is the difference, but if you can expound on that more. And
yeah.
You also mentioned professional jobs coming through, oh, hello. Professional jobs would come through professional means, and I don't know what you meant by that exactly.
Yeah. So again, social media is always good, even for a minor. Are they going to get a job from that that's going to pay them a ton of money? Probably not. So what I mean by that is, yes, you should have social media, but it's the age difference. I mean, there's no reason for a kid under the age of 10 to have social media unless there's some kind of crazy dancer. Like, I don't know if any of you knew Roxy Brennan, huge Instagram star right now, and she's getting really popular off of Instagram. Her family realized that, and they're using that now as a tool. So if you maybe get like a pickup where you feel she's starting to go viral, your dancer is, then maybe follow that. But until they become adults or a little bit older, there really isn't a need for social media for that dancer to book work off of that platform. When I say the professional means, there's different websites that are out there. You might want to write these down. So remember, it's Casting Networks LA. It has like a $14 to $19, maybe have gone up by now, this was a few years ago, subscription monthly. But these are all professional jobs coming in from casting directors. So it's a free website for the casting directors, for talent agents to post all their jobs. For you guys, you can do the free version of it, but I think you can only submit to 5 jobs a month or something like that. But if you pay it, you can submit to multiple jobs. Everything that comes through that is 100% legit. You'll know how much they're gonna make, what the shoot dates are, if they're gonna cover travel, if they're not covering travel, what the buyout's gonna be, if they're planning to renew it. Everything you need to know about that shoot before going will be on that. So that's a resource you can use. There's another one called Actors Access, very similar to that one as well. And that one's a little bit more focused to TV, film, and commercial, whereas Casting Networks is more of commercial and the dance music video world as well. Does that make a little bit more sense? Awesome.
You said that you've done casting for Disney, correct?
I did.
Okay, so my daughter's dream is to dance on Disney Cruise, or even just in the parks. So every time we go on a Disney Cruise, I always hound the performers, and I always ask them questions. And every performer has told me that for my daughter to get into the industry, to take voice lessons, is there anything else you recommend?
I mean, for the cruise line specifically, I can see why they're telling you vocal lessons because they all have to sing there. But for Disney, there's a lot of dance roles, I specifically come from Feld Entertainment, which is Disney on Ice, Disney Live, Ringling, Barnum, and Bailey circuses. I worked for them. I danced for them specifically for 4 years, just dancing, never singing or anything else. So there is plenty more. For Disney, though, Disney only does the theme parks, Disney Channel, and cruise line, that's theirs. All their other projects are all third party, so you kind of have to find the different production companies working for those. Again, Disney is a really, really big company, so tons of different casting directors are all working on that one. But if your dancer does not sing, again, acting is something they kind of want to look at. And this can be something as simple as taking improv classes, just to get them comfortable being a different person, being a different character, working with someone else on set. So just definitely look into that, improv or just on-camera acting, basically 101, something basic. Anyone else?
So the dancer I'm here with is also interested in dancing for Disney at some point in her career. She also wants to go to college for dance. Mm-hmm. So with that, can you talk about the Disney college program, the summer internship, or semester
The CP,
internship.
yeah.
Yeah. Is that any benefit for them to do if they want to dance, or strictly stick to auditioning for dance roles?
Yeah. I don't know too much on how the Disney program works for students. It's only from friends really understanding. From hearing what my friends had to say, it's something I wouldn't really look at. A lot of them wanted to go into the entertainment world, but when they went to Disney in that CP program, you actually get placed in a whole different department. So they were working on rides, working in restaurants, not doing anything they thought they would do at Disney. So I maybe wouldn't necessarily look at that too. And you also have to pay a lot of money to live in their housing, so they make no money. Yeah. So it's not exactly the best choice, but again, there are tons, especially in Orlando, there's tons of colleges out there with all kind of dance programs, musical theater programs, so there's no reason why they couldn't attend college out there and then work at the theme parks. There's auditions every single week to work at Disney. You're welcome. Anyone else? Questions at all? Awesome. Oh, back there.
So I have friends who've said different things about headshots and resumes when they have to turn it in. Is the resume supposed to be printed on the back of the headshot? How does that work?
That's such a good one. It's on my paper and I didn't say it. So, back in the day, it was really clever to just print your resume on the back of your headshot. It's cool, it looks professional, but you also waste all your headshots. So, as your dancers hopefully start booking all those jobs, you want to start cycling that resume. So when it's printed on the back of that headshot, you have to trash that entire box that you paid $300 to print. So I'd recommend just taking the resume, putting it behind the headshot, and staple the four corners. That way it's back there, they can flip it, casting directors can look at it, and another thing they like to do is rip off the resume, put it side by side next to the headshot. Makes it a little bit easier for them. So that's the go around for that. Makes it a lot easier. Instead of having two pieces of something, just staple it directly to the back. It's interchangeable. You can remove it, replace it. Anyone else? Just try it. 30 minutes?
Back to Disney auditions. I'm here for my sister. I know it's very difficult to be a princess, and she's particularly really wanting to be a princess, but she'll take any role. But do you have any recommendations to stand out to become one of the princesses?
Yeah, well, there's really nothing you can do to stand out, to be honest. How the Disney princess and prince castings kind of work for the most part is a typecasting, which basically means your dancers, they're gonna come in, they're gonna line up across the room, and someone literally will stand in front of them, inspect their face, have them stand profile a few times, and that's pretty much the extent of their audition. So I mean, trying to stand out maybe is just doing their research, knowing what princess is maybe their strength, and trying to maybe wear some of the similar colors, similar makeup, but again, not going in any kind of costume, just kind of alluding to the princess they want to be. But the way that those castings work is literally straight shot in and out, super quick. Yeah. Anyone else? Keep going.
This is just pure curiosity, if you would know this. With Disney shows, how often do they transition out choreography? Because I've been to Disney World a lot and seen a lot of the same parades and shows. My first time at Disneyland was this week, so I'm just wondering, how often do they change that out? How often are dancers learning and rehearsing shows?
Yeah. I mean, the shows themselves don't really change much. Reasons for that is they put everything on tracks. So all the different roles within that show has a track number to it that almost 40, 50 different people are doing that specific role, cycled in through the schedules. So as far as people learning shows, Disney is 24/7. I mean, I was constantly either casting or when I was dancing, learning the next show while learning one show. So it's literally a weekly basis that they're cycling dancers in and out, replacing dancers. But at Disney, you're not exactly put to one stage. So you might move around to different stages, learning different tracks, different shows. So that's why it's a constant learning, a constant cycle of people, and a constant cycle of opportunity, too. Tons of opportunity. Yeah. Anyone else? Questions? How certain things work? Auditioning? No? Going to a Disney audition. Yeah, okay, well, so you have different ones. You have, in Florida, it's split into equity and non-equity. I'm not too sure about California. Do you know about California? It's all non-equity, right? Who are not? Okay, cool. So Florida, they have equity. Equity is very similar to SAG-AFTRA, but for the dancers. It's a dancers union that protects them. So out in Florida, you have the equity, which are your mic'd dancers that are either singing, chorus singers, ensemble, or a lead role. And then you have your theme park parade dancers. And then you have your set performers, which are just the ones that are doing your meet and greets. So depending on what they're kind of going for, the audition will be a little bit different. The equity castings are mostly, for the most part, private. So you'll be scheduled in, go into a room with your casting directors. They'll have someone there playing your music. You sing, dance, it's over. For the theme park parade dancers, those are the big cattle calls. So you're going there, showing up with 400 or 500 other people, signing up, waiting 2-3 hours to get into the room. And for what they'll start out with is a typecasting for all the face characters. And then from there, they'll split the room into the face characters and those that are auditioning just for parade dancing, basically. So that's how those kind of go. And then your set performers are basically those who didn't make the cut for the dance parade, basically. So that's how those kind of work. It's big cattle calls for the most part at all times. I'd assume it's the same out here in California, too. Anyone else? Yeah.
What is the biggest no-no a dancer could do in an audition?
So good. So good. Actually, let's go over a few things I was going to go with them after this one, because it would be good for you guys to know, too. I have a complete not to do in auditions list. It's a good one. All right, so starting out in auditions, I know we always want to greet people by shaking hands. You don't want to shake hands. So just have your dancer walk inside the room, smile, positive energy, have that be their way of greeting the casting directors. They're seeing so many people during the day that they don't want to shake hands. They could be germaphobes that have to get up and wash their hands after they shake your hand, and that might be taken rude. So it just makes it easier just not to shake hands. And when you're coming into the audition room, too, a lot of times you've been waiting 30 minutes, maybe an hour. You have your backpacks. You have all your bags. You want to plan ahead for this. You want to walk into the room, and your dancer wants to go straight in, introduce themselves, hit their mark, and go straight into that audition. So you don't really want them walking in, rustling with their purse, their backpack. Where's my water going to go? Either leave it outside the room or just walk in, put it down, hit your spot. Another thing is, during a casting, you never want your dancer to be negative in any way. So this includes, my pet died, my car broke down this morning, I really need this job. All the desperation that can come out sometimes too is, I promise to learn my lines, I promise I'll be the best actor you've ever had. The casting directors don't want to hear that. What they want to see is a professional person coming in who they know they can work with every single day on set, that's not going to complain, that's going to be positive, and that can turn a negative into a positive, basically. So just remember to remind your dancer that it's not only about their talent, but it's also about their personality. It has a lot to do with, can this casting director or this director coach this person, train this person, work with them for the next 4 months for 16, 17 hours a day? A lot of that has a lot to do with it. So if they go into something with sides, which is the script, they might have 2 or 3 lines that they have to say for that commercial if they're going to commercial casting. A lot of times people think they're going to nail it, I have this memorized, I don't need the script, and they go in there and they forget everything. So I always encourage all the talent to hold on to their sides. Don't be cool, don't look super awesome and put it on the floor, leave it on the chair, hold on to it. Because if at any minute you forget something, you can look down, know where you are, go right back into it. But the minute you have to stop your casting, look for your paper, find where you are to find those lines, your actor or your dancer lost their intention as to exactly everything they were doing. Character was completely broken. The moment's broken with the casting director. So you just want them to be able to look down and go right back into it. It's okay to mess up. It's not okay to waste someone's time, basically. So just keep that in mind. As well as, again, no costumes. You always want to go in suggesting the character, but definitely never go in with costumes, crazy makeup, crazy hair. You just want to be neutral. Yeah, and that's what not to do in audition. We put on what to wear, resumes, we went through that. All right, the next thing. This one's super big, which downstairs in a little bit, we're going to go over this quite a bit. Every time you go to a casting, the casting director will always ask, tell me about yourself. So many people think this is the dumbest question. They're just trying to kill time. They have nothing to do. That's the most important question that the casting director will ask you in an audition. And the reasons for that is it tells them three things. It gives them, one, a sense of your personality, who you are, what type of person you can be. Are you a positive person? Once again, looking at that whole aspect of, can I work with them, pretty much. The second one is they're trying to see if your personality can translate on camera. Can you tell a story that is convincing enough to be true to yourself for them, which basically means that you'd be able to tell their story. So the tell me about yourself is extremely, extremely important. So what I always recommend with this one is your dancer wants to speak about something that's genuinely important to them or that they genuinely really, really like. That's automatically going to keep the positive energy going. It's going to get the casting directors involved. They can either say some kind of joke or something funny. That's going to be their moment for them to be remembered. That's their moment to do something different than what was told to do. Say these lines, stand in this spot, look at this camera. This is their moment for them to control what the casting directors are going to remember about them specifically. So I always like to have some kind of joke in that's going to have them chuckle, break down the 8-hour day of monotonous casting after casting after casting. And that'll definitely make them stand out and be remembered by the casting directors. And lastly, just if they have nothing funny to say, if they're a little bit of the shy type, just make sure they smile. A smile alone will change any kind of room. It can make it a negative room to a positive room, just going in there with that warm energy, basically. And then lastly, let's just go over a slate. So a slate is going to be something that your dancer does, or actor, or model does every single time they go to an audition, or that they do a taped audition, sending in a video for a casting director. So your slate is simply your dancer coming up on camera or in front of the casting director saying their name, age, city they live in, and if they speak Spanish. So that would simply go into, hi, I'm Shawn Hebbeler, I'm 32 years old, I'm from Orlando, Florida, y yo hablo español. That is basically, that little clip right there is what's going to be used as your business card once you audition for the casting director. They're going to use that to remember you 2-3 weeks later to see if they want to bring you back for a callback. They want to bring you here, want to bring you there. That little clip, that little 15-second clip stays forever with your dancer. And that's also the first thing that your casting director is going to see that's going to make them decide either they have a good look, they sound great, and do I want to keep watching? So they basically have those 10 seconds to convince their viewer to keep going. Keep watching me. I have energy. I look good. Please keep watching my video. Okay? So that's something that you really want to work with your dancer at home constantly, is having a super strong and a super confident slate. They'll use it every single time, whether by themselves, taped, or with a huge group of people in a cattle call. Cool? Any more questions over the extra little bit of stuff we kind of went through?
Of tell me a little bit about yourself. Any top 3 examples you remember of responses to that question?
Man, not really that I can remember. No. Me, I probably would have shared that I used to be really close friends with Peter Pan back in the day with Disney. that I probably toured 32 countries working for Disney before. And that's basically just things to make them ask me questions, conversation starters. I'm not a funny person, so I probably wouldn't tell a joke or have much of anything funny to say, but I would have something for them to question and start a conversation with, if that makes sense. Anyone else? How are we on time? Like 10 more minutes? Have a 10-minute break? 15? All right, well, if we have any more questions, you want to find me after this, I'll stay in this area for the next 10 minutes. I'll be here, you can, unless you have another question.
What would be your best advice for a dancer that's been auditioning and they keep getting told no? To like keep going to that next audition.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we're going to go over downstairs. There's different types of casting. So you have a type casting, which is a specific look that you're coming in for that you should know what the look is before walking in. Sometimes they don't tell you exactly what they're looking for, so you have no idea why you got cut without even speaking, without even dancing. You have your fill casting, which is just for future filled roles, basically. That might never happen, but they're just coming into audition. They might peg you for a role, and they'll never tell you this. And you might never get it, or you might get a call a year from that audition saying, hey, remember when you came into this audition, we want to offer this to you. Again, the dancer will probably never know that this ever happened to them unless they get that call. You also have your theatrical casting too, which is all your singing and acting. So with all this, though, is a lot of dancers give up all the times when they keep getting that rejection as to no. What we have to do as casting directors, talent agents, as parents, is just tell our dancers that you have to have confidence in yourself. And it's not anything that they did wrong at that audition, because they can have the most talent out of anyone in that room and be the only one who didn't get the job. It's just not what they're looking for. And I know it sounds so dumb. When I was younger, my mom would tell me all the time, oh, you were great, you're just not what they're looking for. And I didn't believe that. You believe, oh, I wasn't bad, I didn't get the job. But it really is that simple. You just weren't the right look, or you weren't the right part. And so many times during auditions, you have these 2-3 day auditions that are 8-9 hours each, seeing 1,000 people dance. They probably found the role in the first 2 hours. Already offered it to someone, but they advertised 2 days of auditions. So that's why you didn't get the role. They already offered it to someone else. But are you a backup? Are you on a callback list for it maybe? Possibly, but you just would never know that. So as long as you can tell your dancer or just convince them that they just weren't right for the part or there wasn't a part for them, they'll get through everything. Just keep them confident. They're gonna get a lot of no. And that's fine, because they're going to get the yeses, and when the yeses comes, it's going to feel great, and it's going to build up for them. So it's fine. Anything else? Nope. Awesome. Cool. Well, I'll be around this area if any of you guys have any more questions.